I am fascinated by all of the historical issues that are coming up with regards to Tulsa and Black Wall Street. I'm fascinated because as more and more people are learning about it, there is this vibrant discussion that's going on with regards to what parts of our history we don't know about. And let me tell you why Tulsa's situation is so profound for me, because as now you're hearing about Tulsa, you're also hearing about Wilmington, North Carolina. You're starting to hear about Elaine, Arkansas. You're starting to hear about Rosewood. Now, mind you, I knew about Rosewood. I was familiar with Tulsa to a degree. I didn't know about Wilmington. I didn't know about Elaine. And I'm embarrassed about Elaine because I'm from Arkansas. But what's happening is that a lot of times is that whenever we have these significant situations like this is the 100-year anniversary of what happened, and it's never an anniversary to celebrate. You want to thank goodness that there are people who did survive of the Tulsa massacre, that it's important to understand that as we hear this story, we start hearing other stories about our history that's important, which made me stop and go back and look at my own individual history. And let me tell you just two particular situations that I found out recently that had me looking and going, man, I really wish I would have known that growing up. First, the KKK marches through Black communities after their rallies. Now, we've probably seen countless videos of rallies of KKK and burning crosses and people wearing sheets and so forth. And so that's not new from a historical standpoint. But how many of you are aware that the KKK, and you may have been aware, and God bless you, I didn't know this, even though it's not a shocker when I found this out. But how many of you are aware that it wasn't a fairly common phenomenon, or it wasn't uncommon, for once the KKK had their rallies, that they would typically march kind of like in a parade style through Black communities? Think about the profoundness of this. And this is where it's amazing when I start listening to people, and I keep thinking, dude, you do realize this went well into the 60s and so forth. We're not even we're barely over 50 years removed from when activities like this were a fairly common occurrence. Well, why is that important to me? Well, I recently spoke to my uncle, who mentioned to me in my hometown that that's what would happen. That literally what would happen. It was fairly well known. The Klan would have this big rally in this big open area. I know the area because it's now a mall. And then afterwards, they literally would get in their trucks and everything like that, and kind of parade style, they would ride and walk through Black communities. And I was like, and of course that mind blew me. And then maybe a couple of weeks later, I spoke to my wife's aunt, who told me that in Augusta, Georgia, similar thing, meaning they would have these big rallies, and then after they did their rallies, they would go through the Black areas of Augusta, and it was fairly known that when they came through, you turned off all your lights and you put your covers down and you stayed quiet. The perception is, of course, you don't want to do anything to cause attention where they may feel the need to come and take a particular course of action. Now, I say that because think about how profound that is to be in a community. And this is a situation where, my wife, I'm a man of a certain age. My wife grew up during that time. So we're talking my generation still experienced something like that. I mean, think about that for a second. For those persons who want to rush to say, oh, we stopped, we're ignoring the progress. I'm like, nobody's ignoring the progress, but we cannot ignore the fact that there was a segment of our population who were okay terrorizing people regularly. And those people are still alive. That's one. And two, the people who they did that to are still alive. And three, the people that they can share that information to are still alive. So that happened to my wife's aunt, my uncle, my mom. They experienced that. They told that to me. And that gave me a perspective that I did not have. Which then gets me to my second historical point. Student Nonviolent Coordinative Committee and my Uncle Jay Jr., who is a dentist. I found out maybe a few months ago that he was a member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinative Committee, or SNCC. For those of you who've never heard of SNCC, Google it, research it. But SNCC, among a few other things, were known for their activities. They were very prominent in a lot of the marches. If you think about the sit-ins, that was their big thing. They were actively participating with the Freedom Riders with regard to voter registration. And so when you see a lot of the videos of the dogs attacking and so forth, and the water hoses, those are students. A lot of times they're either church people from the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, or SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. These are students, kids. And when I saw these, my mother once told me the story about how she had a chance to march with them and they educated her to all kinds of things. I thought that was cool. Never dawned on me that I had a family member who was a part of that and who actually participated in a sit-in. I was like, what the heck? And in my hometown, because Woolworths was the place back in the day and where you basically had they were part of it in the store. There was part of it, there was a sit-down restaurant where you could actually go and order, coffee and drink and food. And of course, blacks couldn't sit there at the time. And in my hometown, that's exactly what he did. He actually sat at a counter with fellow students, got spit on, stuff poured on him in the whole nine. And I never knew that. Yeah, my uncle, God bless him, he has Alzheimer's now, so I can't really ask him. But I'm sitting here going, I had no clue. I had no clue that my uncle was a member of, not only a member of SNCC, but actually participated in the SNCC and actually participated in a sit-in and could actually tell me real time. Because when you see video images and so forth, and this is one of the things that's kind of damaging about videos, because once you see a video or movie of something black and white or grainy color from back in the day, it's easy to have a disconnect to say, oh, that was then, this is now. This is someone I grew up with who I view as a mentor. He's in my fraternity. I mean, he's one of the reasons I pledged my fraternity. I mean, I used to spend summers at his house with his kids because I was close to them and I was close to him. I mean, he gave me guidance when I was running my own law firm. I mean, this is a guy who's been a mentor all my life, and it never crossed my mind to even ask him his involvement in the civil rights movement, and I never knew that he actually did. So why am I sharing this? What it's about now is making sure our stories get told. Because unfortunately, and I've talked about this, is that history tends to be presented as an overview, not as an accurate recollection of what actually happened. Mainly because there is so much of it that people who are often presenting history, especially in the secondary arena, like kindergarten through K through 12, you can't hit it all. So what ends up happening is you start identifying specific things that you want to bring to people's attention as a foundation. The problem is that when you take that approach, things get left out. And as a result of things getting left out, the contextual importance of it or the gleaning message you can get from that gets lost. Our stories need to be told, because as we start losing these generations, our ability to capture the stories of these generations go with them. And their contributions to the overall story is just as important. The reality is that there are so many components to history that it's important that we get all those components, so this way the story can be presented fully and not partially.